in the heart of ancient Mesopotamia, lay a city that once ruled the world. Its name still echoes through history with mystery and might. Babylon was more than just a city. It was an empire's crown jewel. But what happened to this legendary place? How did it fall into ruin? Was it the Persians who first conquered its gates in 539 BCE? Or did Alexander the Great deliver the final blow centuries later? Perhaps time itself was the true destroyer, slowly eroding its grandeur. The truth may surprise you as we unravel the mystery together. Beneath the sands of modern Iraq lies the ghost of Babylon's past. Once adorned with hanging gardens and towering ziggurats, it stood proud. Now only whispers remain among broken bricks and scattered stones. Historians have debated for centuries over the cause of its downfall. Some blame the Persians under Cyrus the Great for ending its reign. Others point to Alexander the Macedonian, whose dreams turned to dust. And then there are those who say no sword could match the slow decay of time. When Cyrus the Persian marched toward Babylon, he faced a mighty empire. Babylon, at the time, was ruled by Nabonidus, not the famous Nebuchadnezzar. The city walls were said to be impenetrable, but the gods had other plans. Cyrus entered without a battle, according to some accounts, through the riverbed. He claimed to bring peace, but Babylon continued to exist under his rule. So was this really destruction, or merely a change of leadership? Alexander the Great came much later in 331 BCE with vast ambitions. He saw Babylon as the jewel of his future world empire. He planned to make it his capital and restore its former glory. Yet after his death, Babylon became a battleground for his successors. The wars of the Diadochi left the city weakened and divided. Could this period of chaos have been the real beginning of its end? Time, however, is the most patient enemy of all cities and empires. Even the strongest walls crumble when left unguarded for too long. After Alexander's death, Babylon lost its political importance gradually. Trade routes shifted, new capitals rose elsewhere, and Babylon faded. Each passing century brought more decay and less care for its ruins. By the medieval era, few even remembered its once great splendor. Some scholars argue that the Persians never truly destroyed Babylon. They claim Cyrus preserved its traditions and allowed life to continue. His policies were known for tolerance and respect for conquered peoples. Babylon remained a cultural and religious center under Persian rule. So perhaps the city's decline started long after the Persian conquest, when new powers rose and old ones fell into obscurity. Alexander's arrival brought renewed attention but also instability. His sudden death in Babylon led to confusion and division among his generals. Seleucus eventually took control of the region, but Babylon was no longer central. The new Greek rulers favored cities like Seleucia on the Tigris instead. As people moved away, Babylonia's population shrank and its influence waned. This migration marked a turning point from which Babylon never recovered. The physical destruction of Babylon was not sudden, but gradual. Elements of the city were reused as building materials by later civilizations. Bricks from its walls were taken for new palaces and temples elsewhere. Without maintenance, the great structures collapsed one by one. Nature reclaimed what man had abandoned, leaving behind mere fragments. Archaeologists today struggle to piece together what once stood proudly. Excavations reveal glimpses of the city's former magnificence and complexity. But much has been lost to erosion and looting over the centuries. Modern politics have also played a role in damaging Babylon's remains. Saddam Hussein famously rebuilt parts of the site using modern bricks. His actions caused irreversible damage to the ancient layers beneath. So who really destroyed Babylon? Was it the Persians with their conquest? Did Alexander's ambitions lead to unintended consequences for the city? Or was it simply the inevitable hand of time wearing down all things? Each answer holds a piece of the truth, but none tell the full story. Perhaps the real destroyer was a combination of forces working together. A mix of politics, war, neglect, and the passage of countless years. We must remember that destruction does not always come with fire and sword. Sometimes it arrives quietly through shifting priorities and forgotten legacies. Babylon was once the heart of civilization, but hearts can stop beating. What remains now is a shadow of what once was a beacon of human achievement. As we look upon its ruins, we are reminded of the fleeting nature of power and the enduring question of who truly destroyed Babylon. Let us begin at the very start, in the land between two rivers. Mesopotamia, the cradle of civilization, gave birth to many great cities. But none captured the imagination quite like Babylon. It rose from humble beginnings to become the envy of the ancient world. Kings fought for it, poets wrote about it, and legends grew around its name. Yet nothing lasts forever, not even the mightiest of cities. At its peak, Babylon was a marvel of engineering and culture. Its walls stretched for miles, surrounding a city filled with wonders. Markets overflowed with goods from across the known world. Temples reached skyward, honoring gods who watched over the land. Scholars studied stars, and scribes recorded the laws of kings. Life flourished within those sacred walls, thriving under strong rule. But prosperity breeds jealousy, and enemies gather where power shines. Babylon's wealth made it a target for those who sought dominion. Rivals plotted from afar, waiting for the right moment to strike. And so began the slow unraveling of a city once thought invincible. No single event spelled its doom, but many hands played their part. The first major shift came in 539 BCE with the rise of Cyrus the Great. The Persian king led his army westward, seeking to expand his domain. Babylon stood before him, proud and defiant, yet vulnerable within. Nabonidus, its aging ruler, had grown unpopular among his own people. Many welcomed Cyrus as a liberator rather than a conqueror. Thus, the city passed into Persian hands with little resistance. Cyrus declared his intentions to preserve and protect Babylon's heritage. He restored temples, freed captives, and honored the gods of the land. To many, this seemed like a continuation of Babylonian life. But beneath the surface, the city was changing in ways unseen. Persian administration brought stability, but also a loss of independence. Babylon remained important during the Achaemenid period. It served as a regional capital and a hub of learning and commerce. Yet it was no longer the sole center of power in the region. New cities rose under Persian rule, drawing attention and resources away. The shift was subtle, but it planted the seeds of future decline. Then came Alexander the Great, a storm wrapped in ambition. He arrived in 331 BCE after defeating Darius III at Gaugamela. Babylon greeted him with open arms, offering gifts and praise. He accepted them gladly, declaring his intent to make it his capital. For a brief moment, it seemed the city would rise again to greatness. Alexander worked quickly to restore Babylon's former glory. He commissioned massive projects, including the rebuilding of temples. Plans were drawn up for a grand palace and improved infrastructure. But fate had other plans, and death struck when least expected. He died in Babylon, leaving no clear heir to his vast empire. His death triggered a power struggle among his generals. The wars of the Diadochi tore the empire apart, city against city. Babylon found itself caught in the middle of these brutal conflicts. Though it remained standing, its prestige diminished with every passing year. The Golden Age was slipping away, and no one could stop it. Seleucus Nicator emerged victorious in the east, founding the Seleucid Empire. But he chose Seleucia as his capital instead of Babylon. This decision marked a turning point in the city's fortunes. People followed trade and opportunity, abandoning Babylon for newer centers. The exodus drained life from the once thriving metropolis. Without constant care, the great structures began to collapse. Rain seeped into cracks, wind wore away stone, and weeds took root. Mud brick buildings softened and crumbled without protection from the elements. The Ishtar Gate, once vibrant with color, faded into memory. The Etemenunki ziggurat, thought to be the Tower of Babel, vanished into dust. Later civilizations saw Babylon not as a home, but as a resource. They stripped its walls for bricks, repurposing them for new constructions. Ancient monuments were dismantled, their stones used for fortresses and roads. The city that once commanded respect was reduced to raw material. Every layer of history buried another beneath it. By the time archaeologists began excavating in the 19th century, much was gone. Only fragments remained of the city that once dazzled the world. Foundations hinted at grandeur, but the full picture was impossible to recover. Looting and natural disasters had erased countless secrets beneath the soil. What was uncovered fascinated scholars, but also frustrated them. Modern politics further complicated efforts to understand Babylon's past. During Saddam Hussein's regime, reconstruction efforts damaged ancient layers. New bricks stamped with his name replaced authentic artifacts. Instead of preserving history, the site was altered beyond recognition. What was meant to honor Babylon ended up harming it irreversibly. So who truly destroyed Babylon? The answer is not simple. The Persians did not raise it, nor did the Greeks finish it off. Time played a role, yes, but so did human choices and neglect. Each era contributed to its decline in different ways. No single force alone can take full responsibility. Destruction often comes not with a single blow, but with many small cuts. A change in trade routes weakens an economy. Then war destabilizes society. Neglect allows decay, and greed leads to exploitation. All of these forces converged on Babylon over centuries. Together, they sealed its fate. Today, visitors walk among the ruins and imagine what once stood there. They see the remnants of walls and try to envision the bustling streets. But the city lives on in stories, myths, and historical records. Its legacy survives, even if its stones do not. Babylon may be gone, but its spirit lingers in our collective memory. The question remains, could it have lasted longer if handled differently? If leaders had protected it, if invaders had respected it, if time had been kinder. But history does not offer second chances. It only leaves behind lessons hidden in the dust. So as we stand here, looking upon the silent ruins of Babylon, we ask once more, who really destroyed it? Was it the Persians, the Greeks, or the relentless march of time? Perhaps the answer lies not in choosing one, but in understanding all. Because sometimes the truth is more complex than any single story. And maybe that is the greatest lesson Babylon has to teach us. That no matter how powerful, no city is immune to change. That empires rise and fall, and only memory keeps them alive. And that the past, though distant, still speaks to those willing to listen,